We didn't teach you anchoring this weekend at all. What do you need to anchor? What are the steps? Step one is put them in what? State. Totally, full body. Show me how you can breathe and speaking. Let's hear your tone of voice. Step two is do what when they're totally in state? Touch or speak or look. Any sound or what? Gesture or visual movement. The key to anchoring is the following, and then we're going to break this up. And that is, that what you want to do is make sure that when you anchor someone, that your timing is excellent. Timing is one of the major keys to anchoring. That is, if I was going up a roller coaster, do I want to anchor right here? No. Where do I want to anchor? Exactly top. Not as they're going up and not as they're going down. You want to hit the peak of that experience. And that's when you want to apply the pressure or the whatever it is that you're applying as a new stimulus. If you anchor down here or over here, or if the person isn't really there in the state totally, your anchor will not be powerful. Okay? You have to make sure they're really there in state, full body, and then apply the anchor. Now, once you've done that, the next key is you've got to make sure that you replicate the anchor exactly. You replicate it exactly. So if I go to Patricia and I hug her like I did softly, did that set off the same feelings? No, so I didn't duplicate same pressure. Or if I said, I really love you, Patricia, how'd that affect you? Look at her. So what? And what was the difference there? The tonality was not the same. I would look at her like this, does that make her feel loved? No. So you have to replicate exactly. So you want to be really clear about where it is you're setting the anchor. So replicating exactly, same pressure, same timing, making sure the timing of the anchor is at the peak of the experience and that they're really there. That's all it takes. And what you can do with everything is unbelievable. You can take someone who's got this incredibly negative physiology and state, this experience that's bothered them their whole life. And first of all, set up a series of incredibly positive, resourceful anchors. And then you have them go into that unresourceful state, and you can anchor that. But you always start with the positive. Anchor that so that you shake the physiology and you go, okay, and you test it and they go, and they're immediately there. You can see it. Their body actually returns. They don't have to believe in it. The body moves there. And then you break the state, you go, okay, let go of that, and then you touch the other shoulder and you go, so you know they both work, you break them out of the state. And then what you do is you fire them both simultaneously. What do you think happens? Steam comes out of their ears, right? And what happens is there's literally a neurological connection that occurs. So that now when the same stimulus happens that used to make them unresourceful, they have a choice, unconsciously. And by the way, guess which one the brain usually selects? Resourceful. I have one of the pieces I want to give you because it's real important to my integrity and I think of everybody in this room. And that is hugging anchors. Hugging anchors. When a person is unresourceful, that means they have a lack of choice. They're feeling down and bad. Do you want to go hug them? No. What do you mean, no? We all do that. Right? I mean, if a person's in pain, the first thing we all want to do, hug them. What do you think is the most destructive thing you could do? Hug them. The reason is because, now somebody says, wait a second, you hug them, you break their state, you change their state. That's true. But when have I had, I'm hugging, you've been hugging the whole time I'm here. When do I have to hug? And you're an incredible physiology, right? The first thing you want to do if somebody's down is change their state. If somebody is really down, crying, exhausted, out of it, what do you want to get them immediately? Eyes up. Eyes up, out of that painful state, and then you want to hug them and create a positive anchor. Because I know that within the network even, I see people. It's all out of love. We go up to somebody in this state and we hug them, and guess what happens? Pretty soon, guess what becomes an anchor to crying and feeling unresourceful? Your intent is incredible, and the results. Now, let me just tell you one other thing. You don't have to learn anchoring. You're already doing it. See, have you ever had an experience where, well, first let me finish the last piece. You go to a funeral, right? And the guy's in this incredibly, or lady's in this incredibly down state. People come by and go, it'll be okay. Somebody else comes by and goes, it'll be okay. Walter's in this intense state. Now, 3 or 4 months go by, right? And somebody else comes by, or a couple of weeks come by, and the guy's in this great state. He's at the office, right? He's not associated with that at all. Somebody comes by and goes, hey, I heard about your dad. Or they don't even say that. They just come up and go like this. And also, what happens? They're back in the state. What do you think destroys a lot of relationships? You become negative anchors. You have experiences together that are negative, and they get associated with the visual, auditory, or kinesthetic responses of another human being. Example, you are at work, you've worked really hard, you have the most incredibly horrid day of your life. Somebody really tried to cause some problems in your life, in your opinion, you're feeling victimized, whatever. You're in a terrible state. You come home, and you walk in the door, and this person you love sees the state you're in, loves you, so obviously wants to change your state, comes up and gives you a what? Hug. Now, if the hug doesn't break your state, what does it get linked to? Those incredibly bad feelings. So now here's another day. You are so excited, you can't believe it. You want to come home and see this person you love. And you walk in the door, can't wait to see them, they come and give you a hug in the same place, with the same pressure. What happens within 5 minutes? You're screaming and yelling and fighting. I don't know what it is. Every time I get around you, for some reason, I was looking forward to seeing you, but we'll always end up fighting. I mean, I want you to be aware that you're always angry, which means you got a responsibility to be clear that when you touch somebody or look at them a certain way or give them a tonality, that you're aware of what state they're in so that you set off the angers you want to make a person resourceful rather than trying to support them and causing them to be more unresourceful than before you got there. Real important stuff. So, let me give you a task on anchoring and we'll wrap up the evening. Here's the task. Some of you have said to me, well, bottom line is, this is great, but, a person's got to set off their own anchor. What if they forget? So here's the task. What if you could take a situation in your life? Is there anyone in this room who has situations in their life where at times something happens, a certain stimulus, and you become unresourceful automatically, or you respond the way you don't want to respond, angrily, something like anybody else? So here's the exercise. A is the person who is going to think of a time when, in their life, where they respond unresourcefully. Let's say, for example, there's a guy in sales or a lady in sales, and there's a certain kind of person that blows them out, or it's their boss. They just can't handle their boss at all. So what you do is you go like this. B gets A anchored in a positive state. How does that occur? B says, okay, A, show me what you look like when you're really strong and confident. How are you standing? How are you breathing? Go in your mind and live that. What did you say to yourself? And every time you do one of those and they go on stage, what are you going to do? Anchor. The most powerful anchors, by the way, are when you do all three. So like when I anchored Patricia, I kinesthetically anchored, I said it, and she could obviously see what was happening. Those are the most powerful. The second most powerful are the ones that you give to someone in your least developed system. My strongest developed system probably is what? Visual. What's next strongest, you know? Kinesthetic. When I talk, what do I also do almost immediately? I have immediate physical what? Response. I have incredible VK. My least developed is my auditory. So guess why? My love strategy is probably also my auditory, because it's the one that's so subliminal. See, if you try to anchor me visually, I'm probably going to pick it up because I made some pretty big distinctions there. If you do it kinesthetically, I'm probably pick it up. If you do it auditorily, that's a powerful anchor. Okay? So the key here is that what you want to do is anchor them in all three systems in pride, have them show that they're proud, strong, confident, whatever resources you want to plant. Then you have them change their physiology, right? Move around, walk, and then you just test it. You say, go out of that state, and then you set off the anchor, and you watch. If they go in the state you touch you, their body will literally go like this. You'll see the movement back to wherever they were when you just anchored them. When you know that's worked, you go to the second step. After you've anchored, 2 is you create a context where A, usually, is unresourceful. So, let's say it's A says, well, when I see my boss, I just can't do it. So what you do is you have C become her boss. And you have A say, okay, show C how to act, what kind of voice tone to use, what words to use, and you do a role play. But here's what you do, Bob, during the role play. While C becomes the boss, you hold B in where? Where? Resource state. And the more, what happens is the more angry or difficult this person is, this person who used to make them unresourceful, what happens to them is the more resourceful they get. Pretty soon you start letting go of the hand until you let go completely, and what now becomes the anchor of this person becoming totally centered and resourceful? Their anchor. That same person or kind of person used to make them unresourceful. Like the other day we took a kid, he was 12 years old in the seminar, and he was so scared of girls, it was unbelievable. So I brought him in front of the room and I said, how do you feel about girls? And he goes, and I said, well, if I were going to have you ask one of these girls out, could you do it? I mean, he just went out of his face. He started shaking. So I said, okay, forget that. Took him over here. And he said, anchor. Show me when you're proud, strong, happy. Anchor. Got a million anchors. Then I bring him up here and I have him change state. I said, how do you feel about girls? He goes like this. And I hit his anchor. He goes. I And the group just goes. I mean, Marshall's got videotapes for the Jedis. They'll see some of this. Okay? And so he's in this incredible resourceful state, so I said, would you pick out a girl in the audience, a woman, actually there's no girls there, who you would really like to communicate and have a relationship with? Ask out. And he starts to go and get his anchor, and he goes, her. So I asked the lady, she'll come up, she comes up here, right? And I said, what I want you to do is I want you to totally reject him. People in the audience are going, geez, God, you're vicious. I'm going, just relax. So she's here, and I said, what I want you to do is ask her for a date. And he goes, oh. I go, boom, his anger out. He goes, okay. He walks out, and he starts talking to her, and she goes, look, you're just a kid, right? And she's just really harassing and giving every bit of negativity she can while I'm holding him where? Resource state. And then I let go a little bit and judge by his physiology. And pretty soon what happens is the more she rejects him, the more resourceful he gets. I mean, it got to the point where she's going, don't you, she started moving around and she goes, God, can't you leave me alone? Don't you recognize I'm not interested? And he goes, don't you recognize power when you see it? The next day was a health seminar. So during the health seminar in the evening, or the 4-day portion of the seminar. And so Monday day, people get to use the skills they learned over the week. And so he goes out, it turns out he comes up to share before the health seminar. And he got 2 dates that night. He went to Alpha Beta and he's got a date with a 19-year-old, this 22-year-old girl, both. He walked into his physiology, he was so aligned and so centered and so directed that they couldn't resist him. I mean, it's unbelievable pace. So I want you to know how powerful anchoring really is. By the way, there's someone up here, right, picked up the microphone and by changing state, right, set up a new anchor for herself. So anytime she goes to a group, she can operate from that same level. Anchor is so powerful. Change. I mean, it doesn't take forever. Change it and anchor. Once they're there anchored, you can have it. So that all the stimulus in your environment that used to make you unresourceful now makes you powerful, resourceful, love, or whatever. Do you have a sense of how powerful this is?